Welcome to Hello English Teacher. Today let's look at the second part of the line by line explanation of the chapter Ivan tries an O level from class 12 English. If you are watching my video for the first time, please subscribe. You can listen to the explanations of chapters from classes 10, 11 and 12 English. And don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a video. Let's move on to the video now. So, we saw how the invigilator was getting ready to come to the invigilation. So, now let us continue. The 2-hour examination was scheduled to start at 9:15 a.m. So, the examination was to be held for 2 hours and it was supposed to start at 9:15 a.m. Evans was lathering his face vigorously when Stephens brought in 2 small square tables and set them opposite each other in the narrow space between the bunk on the one side and on the other a distempered stone wall. So, Evans was lathering his face. So, what is meaning of lathering? He was working up the bubbles on the face. The soap lather was there. So, he was going to shave his face. So, that is what he was doing, and by the time Stephens, the newly joined officer, brought in 2 tables and he was putting them inside because one was for him to write and one maybe was for the invigilator. So, he was keeping it inside the room. So, there was this bunk on one side. What is the bunk? It is a shelf like bed. So, this bunk was there on one side and on the other side there was this distempered stone wall. Distempered means painted stone wall. So, between that he kept these 2 small tables. Next, Stephen brought in 2 hard chairs, the slightly less battered of which he placed in front of the table which stood near the cell door. Then he also brought in 2 chairs and they were hard chairs, maybe made of iron. So, he placed them in front of the table which stood near the cell door. So, what is cell? Cell here means the prison. So, now Jackson put in a brief final appearance. So, Jackson, the senior officer, he came in and he just peeped in because he was getting ready for the examination. He had to make all precautions so that nothing untoward would happen. So, what happened? Jackson came in and just saw. So, behave yourself, lady. Evans turned and nodded. So, why is he calling him lady? Because he has this long hair, and remember he compared him to an actress and all that. So, just for fun's sake, he is calling him as lady. So, behave yourself, lady. Evans turned and nodded, and these, Jackson pointed to the pin-ups. So, there were so many pictures stuck on the wall. He said off. So, he wanted him to remove all those pictures that were there on the wall. Evans turned and nodded again. I was going to take them down anyway. So, he said, yes, I am already going to take them down. I am going to remove them from the wall. A minister, isn't he? The chap coming to sit in, I mean. So, he wanted to know who the person was coming to invigilate. So, he is asking, I think that is a minister who is coming to, chap means a fellow who is coming here to invigilate. And how did you know that? Asked Jackson quietly. So, Jackson wanted to know how he knew that it was a minister who was coming in here for invigilation. Well, I had to sign some forms, didn't I? So, Evans replies that he had to sign some forms before writing the examination. Maybe somewhere it was mentioned in that about the invigilator also. So, he says that is how he had come to know about who was coming to invigilate. And I couldn't help. Evans drew the razor carefully down his cheek and left a neat swath in the white lather. So, he was shaving and he was using the lather, and lather means this bubble, the foam that was caused because of the soap and the water and all that. So, he was cleaning his cheeks. Can I ask you something, Mr. Jackson? Why did they have to bug me in the cell? So, this Evans wanted to know something. So, he asked Mr. Jackson why they had bugged him. What is bugging? Keeping a small microphone, concealing a microphone inside this room. So, he is asking, why did you keep this microphone inside my room? He nodded his head vaguely to a point above the door. To a point above the door. So, that means he was showing the place where the microphone was placed. Not a very neat job, conceded Jackson. So, he said, oh, it's not been kept properly because you were able to see it. They are not. They don't honestly think I am going to try to. So, what is Evans telling? I think they should not be thinking that I am going to escape, or they don't think that I am planning something. So is that why they have kept this microphone, so that they can hear whatever I am talking? They are taking no chances, Evans. So immediately Jackson replied, yes, the authorities don't want to give you any chance to escape. Nobody in his senses would take any chance with you. So immediately he says, nobody would like to escape from you. So he was trying to tell Jackson that Jackson was a very strict officer. So he's saying that nobody is going to escape when you are here. Who's going to listen in? I'll tell you who's going to listen in, lady. So immediately Evans wants to know who's going to listen to his conversation, what is happening inside this cell. And then Jackson says, I will tell you who is going to listen. So he wants to let him know who is going to listen to his conversation. It's the governor himself. See, he don't trust you a bloody inch, and nor do I. So immediately Jackson replied, see, it's the governor himself. He is the one who is going to listen to your conversation, because he does not trust you at all. Even I don't trust you. I'll be watching you like a hawk, Evans, so keep your nose clean. Clear? So he's telling, I'll be very careful and I'm going to watch you each minute. So I'll be watching you like a hawk. Hawk is very careful, it keeps watching all the time. So this bird, so he's saying, just like that bird, I am also going to be very watchful. So better be very clean. That means don't try to plan any tricks. And he walked towards the door. Evans nodded. So Evans agreed that he is not going to take out any tricks. He'd already thought of that. And number 2 handkerchief was lying already ready on the bunk, a neatly folded square of white linen. Just one more thing, Einstein. Yeah, what's that? Good luck, old son. So as he was telling, there was this towel already lying on the bed, maybe for him to clean his face. So before Jackson leaving, what did he say? He said good luck to him, because he was going to write the O-level German examination. In the little lodge just inside the prison's main gates, the Reverend S. McCleary signed his name neatly in the visitor's book and then walked side by side with the silent prison officer across the excise yard to the D wing, where he was greeted by Jackson. So we know who this Reverend S. McCleary is. What is Reverend? Reverend is the title actually given to the address people from the clergy. So this was the man who was coming to invigilate. So he signed his name outside the gate and he was led inside by Jackson to the D wing, where this Evans was lodged. The wing's heavy outer door was unlocked and locked behind them. The heavy inner door the same, and McCleary handed into Stephen's keeping. So what happened? He came in. So as he entered, the door was opened, and as he entered, the door was closed. So similarly, there was another inner door also. They opened, and when he entered, they closed it once again. So they were too careful about the safety of conducting this exam, because at any point they did not want Evans to escape, because he was known for his escaping tricks. So that's why they were so careful. So as soon as McCleary came in, he handed his suitcase to Stephens, because we know that he came in carrying a suitcase. So he gave it to Stephens. Get the razor, murmured Jackson. So Jackson looked at Stephens and once again asked him whether the razor was taken away. Stephens nodded. Well, keep your eyes skinned clear. So he's telling, be very careful, don't allow him to do any tricks. Stephens nodded again, and McCleary, his feet clanging up the iron stairs, followed his new guide and finally stood before a cell door, where Stephens opened the peephole and looked through. So what happened? Stephens escorted him up to the room or the cell door or the cell where Evans was lodged, and then they climbed the stairs and finally they reached the door. And what did Stephens do? He didn't open the door first. There was a peephole on the door where the officer standing outside can peep in and see what is happening. So he looked through it and told, what did he say? That's him, sir. So he looked through the hole and saw Evans sitting inside, and he's asking McCleary also to look at him, and he says, see, that is him. So that is the person who is going to write the exam and you have to invigilate. Evans, facing the door, sat quietly at the farther of the two tables, his whole attention riveted to the textbook of elementary German grammar. So, he was sitting inside, they could see through the peephole that he was sitting inside and he was facing the door, and his full attention was riveted, means completely directed to a textbook of elementary German grammar. So, he was looking at the textbook and preparing for the exam. Stephens took the key from its ring and the cell lock sprang back with a thudded metallic twang. So, he opened the door, and while opening there was a loud noise because it is all made of metal. It was 9:10 a.m. when the governor switched on the receiver. He had instructed Jackson to tell Evans of the temporary little precaution that was only fair. So, the exam was about to start at 9:15 a.m., but now it is 9:10 a.m. and the governor had switched on the microphone or the receiver so that he could hear what was happening inside, and he also told Jackson to warn Evans about this arrangement. As Evans wouldn't spot it, so they thought that Evans wouldn't see it, but then he had already seen it. So, that is why Jackson had remarked that the job was not done properly of concealing the microphone, but he had already seen it. But wasn't it all a bit theatrical, schoolboyish almost? How on earth was Evans going to try anything on today? So, though the arrangements were, like childish or boyish almost, because they didn't want to take chances of letting Evans escape. But however, Evans was also having plans. He was also thinking, see, with all these precautions, there's a microphone and officers, 2 officers are there always to watch on him and everything. They had removed all the sharp instruments from his room. So, there is no possibility of him to escape. If he was so anxious to make another break, why in heaven's name hadn't he tried it from the recreational block? Much easier, but he hadn't. So, they were even thinking that if he wanted to escape, he could have escaped easily from the recreational block, but then it was much easier from there, but still he hadn't. And there he was now sitting in a locked cell, all the prison officers on the alert. 2 more locked doors between him, his cell and a yard with the wall as high as a haystack. So, he says that it's not, so they all come to know that it's not very easy for him to escape, because if he wanted to escape, he could have escaped from the recreational block, but he didn't, and now he is very safe inside this prison which has 2 officers on alert. They are keeping watch on him, and there are more than 2 doors that are locked, and so he cannot get out easily. And if at all he comes out also, there is a very high wall, just like a haystack. Haystack means where hay is stacked up to very high levels and it's not easy to cross it. So, there is this wall also, so it's not easy for him to escape at all. So, there are no chances of Evans escaping this time. Yes, Evans was as safe as houses. What's the meaning of as safe as houses? Means completely safe. Anyway, it wouldn't be any trouble at all to have the receiver turned on for the next couple of hours or so. And so, they know that even if he also knows that even if the receiver is on, so there wouldn't be any trouble, because everybody, especially the governor, can hear what is happening inside this room. It wasn't as if there was going to be anything to listen to, was it? Amongst other things, the invigilator's duty was to ensure that the strictest silence was observed. So, there is nothing much to be heard through the concealed microphone, because anyway he was going to write the exam and he was not going to speak. And another thing is, the invigilator was also there and he has to ensure that there is silence during the examination. So, they didn't expect much to hear from the microphone. That is, there would anyway he would not be planning sitting in the examination hall about his escape. But still that little nagging doubt, might Evans try to take advantage of McLeary? But still these officers had this doubt on Evans, because every time he had only tried to escape. So, we don't know, he might even try to take advantage of McLeary and try to escape. And so, that is why they were taking so much of security measures to see that nothing happens. Get him to smuggle in a chisel or 2 or a rope ladder, or the governor sat up sharply. So, they were just thinking whether he would somehow carry in some chisel, means a small knife, or a rope or a ladder, somehow for him to escape. So we don't know what are his plans. So the governor was very alert. He didn't want to take any chances. It was all very well getting rid of any potential weapons that Evans could have used, but what about McCleary? So they thought that it is easy to look for Evans. It is easy to make him remove all the sharp instruments from his room. But what about McCleary? He was a person who is coming from outside. So we don't know what kind of person he is. What if quite unwittingly the innocent McCleary had brought in something himself? So McCleary is the invigilator and we don't know what kind of person he is. What suppose if he brings in something to help Evans escape? Maybe a jackknife, that's a small knife. And what if Evans held him hostage with such a weapon? And what suppose Evans take that weapon and hold him as a hostage and threaten everybody so that he could escape. So they were looking at all kinds of possibilities that Evans could do so that he could escape. So they wanted to conceal all these possibilities or close all the possibilities so that nothing like this happens. So what is the meaning of hostage? Hostage means holding a person or seizing a person and keeping him as security for the fulfillment of certain conditions. So Evans could hold McCleary as a hostage and demand his release or something. So that was also a possibility these people were looking into. The governor reached for the phone. It was 9:12 a.m. So the exam was supposed to begin at 9:15 a.m. The examinee and the invigilator. Examinee is Evans, who is going to take the exam. So both of them had been introduced to each other by Stephens, and that time what happened? Jackson came back and shouted to McCleary through the cell door. So Jackson came and he called McCleary. He asked him to come out. Can you come outside a minute, sir? You too, Stephens. So both Stephens and McCleary were called outside. Jackson quickly explained the governor's worries and McCleary patiently held out his arms at the shoulder level whilst Jackson lightly frisked his clothes. So what happened? He came and told McCleary that the governor is afraid that he might be carrying some instruments to help Evans. So immediately he just patiently held out his arms at the shoulder level so that the officers could check him. And Jackson frisked his clothes, that means shook his clothes just to check whether anything hard is there inside or any weapon or any other instrument is there inside. Something hard here, sir? So he found something hard, and my reading glasses, replied McCleary. So McCleary said, it is my reading glasses that you feel as hard, looking down at the spectacle case. So Jackson quickly reassured him, bending down the landing. Thumb flickered the catches on the suitcase. He picked up each envelope in turn, carefully passed his palms over their surface and seemed satisfied. So he took the suitcase and then he started looking inside it, and then he put his hand over all the envelopes that were there, and he was satisfied because he found that there is nothing or there is no such instrument even inside the suitcase. He riffled curiously through a few pages of Holy Writ and vaguely shook the church stamps. Holy Writ is the Bible, so he quickly flipped through the pages and he wanted to make sure that nothing is hidden inside, and he also shook the newspaper, the church stamps. All right so far, so there is nothing inside. But one of the objects in McCleary's suitcase was puzzling him sorely. So one object that was there inside the suitcase was troubling him. He wanted to know what it is. Do you mind telling me what you have bought this, sir? He held up a smallish semi-inflated rubber ring, such as a young child with a waist of about 12 inches might have struggled into. So what is that thing that bothered him? It was a small semi-inflated rubber ring, a rubber ring which was semi-inflated, and he held up and he asked him, what is this for? Why did you bring this? It was about 12 inches in diameter. So he wanted to know what this is used for. Why did he bring this semi-inflated rubber ring? You thinking of going for a swim, sir? So McCleary was asked whether he bought this ring for going for a swim because it was a rubber tubing. McCleary's hitherto amiable demeanor was slightly ruffled by this tasteless little pleasantry. That means Hitherto means till now, amiable means friendly. So, till now he had a friendly appearance, but then this question whether he was going to swim made him feel little sad, because it was like trying to make fun of him or what. And then he answered Jackson somewhat sorely, and then he gave his reply. Okay, he was also not happy at that question, but then he had to reply. Yeah, if you must know, I suffer from hemorrhoids, and when I am sitting down for any length of time, very sorry sir, I didn't mean to. So he answered it. What did he say? He says that he was suffering from hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids is piles. So such people will not be able to sit for a long time. So he says that he wants to use this semi-inflated rubber tubing to keep it on the chair and sit down so that it would not hurt him. So he says that that was the purpose why he had brought this semi-inflated rubber tubing. So Jackson felt embarrassed because he had asked such a question, and he felt very sorry, and he said sorry to Mr. McCleary. The embarrassment was still reddening Jackson's cheeks when he found the paper knife at the bottom of the case. And then the embarrassment was still on his face, but still as he was looking through the suitcase, he also found another paper knife. I think I'd better keep this though, if you don't mind that, sir. So he took the paper knife and he said, I think I will keep this with me. It was 9:18 a.m. before the governor heard the voices again. So it was 9:15 a.m. Actually, the exam was supposed to start at 9:15, and it was clear that the examination was going to be more than a little late in getting underway. So he knew that maybe it could take some more time for the examination to commence. McCleary, you've got a watch? Evans, yes sir. McCleary, I'll be telling you when to start again and when you have 5 minutes left. Alright. So McCleary was giving instructions to Evans. He asked him whether he had a watch, and he said yes, and he said okay, I will tell you the time when you have to start the exam, and when there is 5 minutes left for the exam, that time also I will warn you about the time. So there was silence after that. McCleary, there's plenty more to this writing paper, you need it. Silence. So he said, if you need paper, I have more, you can ask whenever you want. McCleary, now write the name of the paper. And now the exam started, and then he is giving instructions to Evans. Write the name of the paper, 021-1. So he is asking Evans to write the name of the paper on the left hand top corner, and silence. So he gives the instructions. The first instruction was to write the name of the paper on the left hand top corner. So he says write 0201, 021-1. McCleary, in the top right hand corner write your index number 313. So on the right hand side he had to write his index number. The index number is 313, and in the box just below that write your center number, that is 217. So he is asking him to fill up all the details. A, right? Silence. 9:20 a.m. McCleary, now I am going to Evans. E is not going to say here is E. So McCleary, I don't know about that. Stephens, Jackson, Mr. Jackson's given me strict instructions too. So looking at Jackson, Evans is asking McCleary whether this man is going to stay inside while they are writing the exam. So immediately Stephen says, yes, Mr. Jackson has instructed me to remain inside. Evans, how am I supposed to concentrate on my exam with something breathing down my neck? So he's saying, how can I concentrate and write when you're staying very close to me and I can feel your breath on my shoulders, so I won't be able to concentrate. Cries, sorry sir, I didn't mean. The governor reached for the phone. Jackson, good. Get Stephens out of that cell, will you? So this conversation was heard by the governor, who was sitting in his room, because the microphone is there. So immediately he calls Jackson and asks him to make Stephens go out of the cell. I think we are perhaps overdoing things. So he says that we don't have to think too many things, we don't have to do things in such a manner. So let him write properly. So let's ask Stephens to get out of the room or come out of the room. As you wish, sir. The governor heard the exchanges in the cell, heard the door clang once more, and heard McCleary announce that the examination had begun at last. And so he could hear the conversation inside the cell, and he understood that Stephens had come out and McCleary had announced that the exam had just begun. It is 9:25 a.m. So, the exam was supposed to begin at 9:15, but then it took 10 minutes for all the checking and all that. And there was great calm. That means that there was silence all over. At 9:40 a.m., the examinations board rang through. So, that means they got a call from the examinations board, and the assistant secretary with special responsibility for modern languages asked to speak to the governor. And the assistant secretary had called from the examination board, and he wanted to speak to the governor. The examination had already started, no doubt, a quarter and an hour or so, where yes, well, there was a correction slip which some fool had forgotten to place in the examination package. So, what is that? Why did he call? Because there was some correction in the question paper, and that correction paper was not kept inside the package. So, the secretary wanted to tell this to the governor so that he could give the instructions through the phone. So, that is why he had called. Very brief, could the governor please? So, he said the correction is a small one, and could the governor please connect to the invigilator? Yes, of course, I will put you straight through to Mr. Jackson in D-Wing. Hold the line a minute. So, the governor readily agreed to connect to the cell where he could talk to the invigilator, and then he gave it to Mr. Jackson. He said that he could speak to Mr. Jackson. Was this the sort of thing the governor had feared? Was the phone call a fake, some signal, some secret message? But he could check on that immediately. So, the governor had second thoughts. He was just wondering whether such a call or these calls were meant for some kind of a cheating, or was it some kind of a plan that would help this Evans to escape. But then he could check on that immediately. But then there is chances that he can do a checking any time, because he was the governor of that Oxford's prison. So, I hope you like today's video. Let's look at the next part of this lesson in my next video. For more informative videos, do subscribe to Hello English Teacher, like, share and give your valuable comments below. Thank you for watching.